The information in this video is presented to assist those working in the construction industry. The incidents described and demonstrated in this video are not real-life incidents. They are shown here using actors to illustrate how accidents can happen on construction sites. Electricity is essential for our economy. It is so much a part of modern living that we often take it for granted. Electricity is delivered across the country using both overhead wires and underground cables. It is a powerful and versatile source of energy, but it can be dangerous unless we use safe systems of work. Where safety procedures have not been followed, serious accidents, including fatalities, have occurred where construction work has taken place too close to the electricity network. The aim of this video is to provide important safety information to help you stay safe when working near overhead wires and underground cables. This material is for general guidance only and should not be regarded as a substitute for professional advice from ESB networks. Such advice should always be taken before acting on any of the matters discussed. Many accidents occur due to a lack of care, attention, and basic planning on construction sites. Here we see a construction worker driving a tipper truck. There has been a poor level of planning and communication between the construction worker and the foreman. The driver of the tipper truck is seemingly unaware of the allocated tipping zone, while the foreman is distracted and not paying appropriate attention to what is taking place. Neither worker has appropriately considered the electricity hazards on site, and as such, the tipper truck is being used to dump gravel directly beneath an overhead wire. Here we see a construction worker using a crane. He has not taken note of the overhead wires or considered the electricity hazards on site. As a result, he is operating a crane dangerously close to overhead wires. On a site where there will be no work or machinery passing under an overhead wire, but where the machinery will be working close to the hazard zone, the following safety measures must be carried out. Barriers must be put in place and must run parallel to the electricity wires. These barriers may either be fixed post fencing or steel drums filled with rubble and spaced 1.5 meters apart. If cranes are in use, a line of visible bunting at a height of 3 meters is required to supplement the barriers. Danger notices with the words "Danger Live Overhead Wires" should be spaced at a maximum distance apart of 20 meters. In addition to these safety measures, on a site where there will be work or machinery passing under an overhead wire, the following safety measures must also be carried out. Solid goalposts must be in place with dimensions as follows. The height of the goalposts must not exceed 4.2 meters, except where otherwise advised by ESB networks. The width of the goalpost must be no greater than 9 meters wide. The height of the bunting must be between 3 meters and 4.2 meters. All barriers must be placed at the extremity of the hazard zone. The hazard zone surrounds the electricity wires and extends from the outside electricity wire. The hazard zone is a minimum of 6 meters for all low voltage 10 kilovolt, 20 kilovolt, and 38 kilovolt electricity wires. The hazard zone is a minimum of 10 meters for 110 kilovolt, 220 kilovolt, 275 kilovolt, and 400 kilovolt electricity wires. If you are unsure of the voltage of nearby power lines, please contact ESB Networks for clarification. Remember, electricity wires are always live. Always consider electricity hazards on site and in your work area. Working near overhead electricity wires is dangerous due to the possibility of electrical arcing or direct contact. At planning stage and before starting work near overhead wires, contact ESB Networks on 1-800-372-757. In general, if work is to be undertaken directly underneath the electricity wires, ESB networks may require that the wires are switched out for the duration of the work. It is important to note the existence of overhead wires and to plan how to safely carry out work. Any accidental contact with overhead wires or coming too close to the wires will cause serious injury and can be fatal. If possible, keep machinery clear and guard against working close to live wires. Always ensure the correct clearances to avoid contact, and remember that electricity can jump gaps. Serious accidents have occurred when using cranes, concrete delivery trucks, tipper lorries, scaffolding, telescopic lights, and carrying long objects near overhead wires. In the event of an incident involving accidental contact with overhead electricity wires, remember these steps to staying safe. 1. Keep clear. The driver or operator of plant or machinery that comes into contact with overhead wires will usually remain safe in the cab. However, other people on the ground are at serious risk if they make contact with the plant or machinery or their attachments. It is never safe to rely on rubber tires or rubber-soled boots for protection. They will not insulate against high-voltage shock. Tires can burst into flames and boots can be destroyed. 2. Contact ESB networks. You or someone else should immediately phone the ESB network's emergency number on 1-800-372-999. 3. Jump clear. If you must exit, jump clear so that contact is not made between you, the vehicle, and the ground. Land on your feet and do not touch the ground with your hands. Move away carefully by shuffling, keeping both feet together, or bunny hop with both feet close together. 4. Stay clear. Do not go back to the vehicle as it may still be live. Do not approach the vehicle until ESB Networks has confirmed that it is safe to do so. Many fatal accidents occur when the person has jumped clear but then turns back to close the door. Do not turn back and close the door. Never make contact with the live vehicle and the ground at the same time. For more detailed information, please refer to the ESB Network's Code of Practice for Avoiding Danger from Overhead Electricity, which can be downloaded from www.esbnetworks.ie. Underground cables are another potential hazard during construction. Here, a construction worker is in a digger excavating soil on site. He is working alone, and there does not appear to be any other workers or site foreman visible. The ground around the digger is unmarked, and there are no maps or cable avoidance tool visible. The digger makes contact with and breaks an underground cable. When planning work which involves digging, always contact the Dial Before You Dig service at dig@esb.ie or by calling 1-800-928-960. Before you start digging, complete a Risk Assessment Method Statement, or RAMS. Ensure you have obtained the appropriate up-to-date map from our Dial Before You Dig service. Remember that service cables and public light cables may not be shown on the map. Look out for any indication of other services such as gas and water, etc. Ensure a cable avoidance tool is used by a competent operator to locate all services. Mark the positions of the cables using waterproof crayon, chalk or paint, and ensure it is visible to the machine operator. When working near underground electricity cables, use your company policies, procedures, method statements, and the relevant code of practice. Maps and cable records. A suitable and appropriate cable avoidance tool, or CAT. This must be used by a competent operator. Safe digging practice. Remember, when planning work which involves digging, always contact ESB Networks. Before you start work, you must have all of the ESB Networks maps for the location. Make sure that they are up to date, cover all cable voltages at the location, and can be understood by you. Always assume that there are more buried cables present than you have located. You should understand that smaller service cables, small cables which bring electricity to a building or a lighting point, are not usually recorded on ESB Networks maps. Always check the area for signs that might suggest the presence of service cables, and use a cable avoidance tool that you are competent to use and follow safe digging practices. Always be aware that the depth of cover may be very shallow and that there may be no bricks, warning tape or other protection in place. Be aware that a cable that is live with no current flowing through it might not be picked up by a cable avoidance tool in power mode. Always scan the ground with power mode and then with power and radio mode together. Where at all possible, use the signal generator in induction mode with the cable avoidance tool to pinpoint underground services. Always assume that there will be more services than you expect to find. For more detailed information, please refer to the HSA Code of Practice for Avoiding Danger from Underground Services, which can be downloaded from the HSA website. Remember, when working near overhead wires and underground cables, do phone ESB Networks immediately at 1-800-372-999 in the case of an emergency. Do contact ESB Networks to obtain the relevant maps before construction. Do assume all equipment is live unless otherwise confirmed by ESB Networks. Do contact ESB Networks to switch out underground or overhead wires. Do remember that electricity wires are always live. Do stay clear of overhead electricity wires. Do identify the location of buried cables. Do follow the requirements set down in the relevant codes of practice. Do display safety stickers on machinery to remind everyone to be electricity safe. Call 1-800-372-575 to obtain these stickers. Don't work close to overhead wires. Don't disturb underground cables. Always ensure that ESB Networks are aware that you are working close to these cables. Don't undermine pole or mast foundations. Don't approach or touch fallen wires. Don't approach or touch anything that may be in contact with electricity wires. ESB Networks provide a range of safety materials. These include information booklets, safe construction with electricity, and how you can avoid hitting electrical cables when digging and drilling. Visit www.esbnetworks.ie to find out more about safety and electricity. Always stay safe, stay clear of the electricity network.